Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, iRacers, and welcome to Apex Racing TV and a special event here from the fantastic circuit, the 24 Hours de Mans, of course, the Le Mans circuit. We're going to be bringing you a 40-minute race today featuring GT3s, courtesy of AVL RACETECH and their Beat the Pro Challenge special event. Looking forward to this one. Like I say, it's going to be a nice way to start our week off, seeing this historic circuit and a fantastic range of tracks. And along with me to watch action is going to be Sam Fitzpatrick. And Sam, not only is it a historic track, but it's going to be we're having a decent attempt to try to fill up this massive track with a 45 car grid.
For sure, yeah, sometimes it can get a little bit lonely, can't it, this circuit, when you're on hour 23 of the 24 hours on one of the bottom splits. But no such problems here. We have got an absolutely filled field and a really competitive field as well. Of course, many sorts of more experienced sim racers, but also a few real-life racers as well joining us tonight. So it should be really competitive up and down the order.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be a few familiar names that you guys will see out there on track and that we'll cover as we get to them during the race. But qualifying is just getting started as we speak, and so the format for this evening is the drivers now have got a 20-minute open qualifying session, and we can see them out on track now. They're free to try and use a little bit of tow from each other. There's not explicit rules in terms of kind of not having teammates help each other. And we definitely have some large groupings of teams out there, primarily, of course, the AVL RACETECH sim racing team, which make up the bulk of the field out there today. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they cope with the qualifying session, and then after that we'll be running on to this 40-minute race where all the cars are going to be limited to 50% fuel, and so we're going to have pit stops somewhere between sort of 1/3 and 2/3 through the race. And these cars, Sam, are all operating on a custom balanced performance that the admins have got together for this session. So just to quickly summarise those, the Audi R8, of course, has had the second least amount of weight added to it of just 3 kilograms. The BMW M4 GT3, along with the Porsche GT3R, have both had a whopping 17 kilograms added to them. The Ferrari GT3 Evo has had 5 kilograms. The Lamborghini has had nothing added to it, and the Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo has had 10 kilograms added to it. So it'll be interesting to see as we start working our way through the practice, the qualifying session, and then the start of the race, how that balance ends up, but it's going to be good to see the pit stops out there today. Sam, add a bit of strategy and a bit of variety to the race on this circuit.
For sure, and there's a decent amount of variance as well for the drivers to be able to go for a pit stop. I mean, like you were saying, sort of 2/3 of the way into the race we're expecting drives, but you know, there's going to be a couple of laps leeway. Maybe even a couple of drivers could save just enough fuel to go one extra lap, and around this circuit that could be quite an advantage. And like you were saying before as well, like the teammates, maybe we'll see lots of the teammates you kind of usually race against one another when it comes to the AVL kind of racing league. Maybe they will come into the pits together and try to slipstream off one another doing an undercut. I'm not quite sure. We will see what these tactics are used, but I'm sure we're going to see some drivers get to the top as well. Already we're seeing the strategy start because everyone's trying to get a bit of space in qualifying.
Yeah, we're so on board at the minute with Mirko Bortolotti, and we can see him just hovering on the throttle pedal, just wanting to stay in that slipstream and try and give himself the best start to the lap after this outlap is completed. So yeah, I dare say we're going to be seeing a little bit of jockeying and a little bit of gamesmanship as we get towards the end of this opening lap. But whilst we wait for the cars to start off their first qualifying lap, it gives us a chance just to talk a little bit about AVL RACETECH and this event specifically. So the aim of this event is to race, is for the AVL RACETECH staff and team to race against real-world motorsport professionals, including AVL RACETECH ambassadors Tatiana Calderon, Finn Gerritz, and Ferdinand Habsburg. AVL offers their own employees their own sim racing team, as we've mentioned, and so with 45 cars out there on track, we're gonna see plenty of cars out there competing. And the AVL Sim Racing League has at least 30 drivers in each event as well, and we're kind of joining them during their second season. And this special Beat the Pro challenge is going to be part of that overall league. So like I say, we're going to see some interesting racing out there, not just from the AVL RACETECH team, but from a variety of special guests and from the quote-unquote pros as well, who are the AVL RACETECH ambassadors, and we'll see them pop up on the overlay in a red colour compared to the rest of the field, who are going to be blue. So they're kind of they're the targets out there, Sam. They're really going for targets on their backs today, and everyone else is going to be out to try and get one over them.
For sure. I mean, what I would say is that the real life guys, they've got a bit of a disadvantage here. I think we saw it back in the, we had the Formula E events a few years ago, the Vegas event, where we had the Formula E drivers versus a bunch of sim racers. And it's really tricky as a real life driver to jump into the sim. I mean, Tatiana, for example, I think has got the starter iRacing, so I don't think she's done any iRacing events in the past. So she's if she manages to finish midfield tonight, that would be a very impressive achievement, because it does take a while to kind of get used to the sim. But a couple of the other kind of real life drivers are clearly very accomplished already, so I think we might see them up there, and they're very good drivers as well. Finn Gerritz making me feel old. He was born in 2004 and is already racing in some of the top series in real life. I think European Le Mans in the the Michelin Le Mans Cup in his LMP3 Ligier, and then also Ferdinand Habsburg, the champion in the European Le Mans series this past season. So they are very good drivers, but I would still say these veterans on sim racing have slightly more advantages tonight.
Absolutely. It'd be really interesting to see if we notice a real improvement during the sessions from, say, maybe a couple of the real life guys who haven't got the same experience, because you'd expect them to be really quick learners and pick up off the sim racing veterans, if you like, as you said, and see if they pick up some of those tricks and can quickly get up to speed. But yeah, we will find out in a few minutes' time. We can see that train of cars working its way down Mulsanne Straight at the minute, as the most of the field, if not all the field, Sam, are on their opening attempts. Of course, for such a long lap, they've not got that long to try and get their qualifying laps in, not got many attempts either, so just a 20-minute session. You can see we're already 7 minutes through, and so yeah, people like Marcus Deutsch here, who we're watching, they need to try and get a real banker lap in first and give themselves a chance then to get one or maybe two extra qualifying attempts in after that.
Yeah, and with it being everyone on track at the same time, they all have to leave the pits as well, so you have to do a full out lap, and that's going to be a really big disadvantage if you mess up your lap, because then it's going to take 4 minutes for you to even start a lap. So if you mess up a lap and crash your car, for example, or run out of fuel with, say, 12 minutes into this session, well, maybe a little bit. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, honestly, 12 minutes into the session thing, but it is pretty much a 4-minute lap. That's it for you, because you're not going to be able to do another lap and or get round again. So that will be a tricky thing for the drivers to consider out there. But yeah, getting in that banker around this circuit where there's lots of slowdowns at many of the corners is going to be the main game at the moment. As yeah, the first time is through, I believe, Ralph Butner at the top. He doesn't stay there for very long. It's now Masani who goes to the top, and immediately he's had enough. He's run out of fuel, going back to the pits, and he'll go for another.
Interesting strategy. So he's going to be blowing that outlap each time, Sam, if that's how he's going to run his qualifying session. So yeah, important that he they get those clean laps in when he has the opportunity. But like you say, the time's coming in thick and fast now, as we can see on the tower on the left. And yeah, so far everybody running under the 4-minute mark, just a couple of seconds in fact between the first 7 cars that have come through, so that's looking fairly promising. And actually our first pro driver, I was about to say, is the slowest of the group so far, but then Mirko Bottolotti jumps up very briefly into first position and then surpassed by Ulrich down into second. So yeah, now we can see on the timing tower those markers for our pro drivers highlighted in red compared to the rest of the field that are going to be in blue.
Yeah, Botsolot's doing very well at the moment. Joe, who we've seen plenty of times on Apex Racing TV, it should be added, so we know that he's not short on experience. As Calderon, who didn't do any practice laps either, just rounding the final corner. But I think she's going to be one of the ones that you were talking about earlier on, Lee, who just gets faster and faster as the day goes on. I think that first lap invalidated, but got enough fuel, so we need to go for another run as we reach already the midpoint of the session.
Yeah, it just goes super quick here at Le Mans, and looks like clear conditions for them out there as well. So we'll see how the track temperature copes and how it changes as well, possibly during the race session. But yeah, we can see track temperature of 23 degrees, so you know, reasonably warm, Sam, but yeah, should be pretty stable for the guys trying to bang those laps out in this qualifying session, as Gregory Jones comes across the line right on the 4-minute mark for his first attempt. And yeah, it's just going to have this constant stream of cars. Since our focus really is those AVL RACETECH sim racing teams, interestingly, the highest position so far is Walter Lux, Sam, in P5. So considering they make up the bulk of the field, yeah, 5th currently is the top position for that team.
Yes, yeah, they'll see if they can get a bit further.
I mean, they have plenty more opportunities, Sam, I have to say. I'm like looking at the timing tower of the cars without a lap time in still, and yet I'm seeing RACETECH sim racing team, AVL RACETECH sim racing. There's plenty more cars still to come and try and yeah, dispose of Forsten Ulrich from that top spot for the RC sim racing iRacing team.
Yeah, like only 20 drivers out of like the 45 that we've got have actually set a time so far, so I think there's a lot more kind of quick drivers who have not put in a representative lap time. And if you can nail the slipstream around the circuit as well, like you're going to gain a huge amount of time. There's seconds to be gained, frankly, if you can absolutely nail it. So that is something that maybe those teammates will be able to pull off, slingshot their way to pole position. Pascal Haas, how far can he go up the standings? No, he still does not put in that lap time for now. And so, yeah, he's another one who I think got 1x during their lap time. But pretty much everyone is out on circuit. Only Stefan Kapler is currently in the pits. Everyone else trying to put in that lap time. We're about to see a lot of drivers cross the line. They're currently going through the Porsche S's. Lamprecht, a good distance back. He's not going to get too much kind of terminal air from that, as I think Attila Bussi just went to the top of the standings. Excellent lap time from him.
Yeah, absolutely. By a super tiny amount of time, though, considering if it's a 4-minute lap, it's just 800ths quicker than Ulrich that time by. So, like you say, thin margins out there, but representing the pro drivers at the minute in first and third. Yeah, times still keep coming in. 24 cars now have put in a valid qualifying time, and we're seeing yeah, pretty close times so far, Sam. Certainly between sort of the top 15 or so, just a couple of seconds over this 4-minute lap is looking good for those first attempts, and I dare say it will keep closing up as yeah they get their remaining laps in as well. Bortolotti now jumps to the top spot in that gorgeous Lamborghini GT3. Yeah, again 1 and 2 now for the pro team, and he's representing Gazek's racing team out there today. So yeah, the pro drives, Sam, are stamping their mark on the session straight away, it seems.
Yeah, Mirko with a 7.2 thousand iRating. I'm sure I'll show you that at some point during the broadcast, the different iRatings of all the drivers. But yeah, back to the top for him, and by a good margin as well, 0.6 of a second. He's giving a nice draft though, very good position right now for Florian Becker to be in. That is perfectly gapped, I think. Let's see how much time he's gaining. Albeit I have heard that these GT3 cars don't actually give that much of a draft. And maybe he's a little bit too far away there. Maybe he'd want to be a couple of tenths of a second closer, but still not in a bad position, Becker. And then just behind him is Martin Statman, albeit I think Statman's pushed that one a little bit too hard into the first Mulsanne chicane. And then that's going to just cost you all the way down that, and well, this is painful right now for Martin, because you can just see those couple of cars edging away out ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's good to see at the minute a decent variety in the car manufacturers in the top sort of 10 or 15 of the field. So yeah, currently that Lamborghini of Bortolotto leading it, then a couple of Mercs, then a BMW, then a Porsche, and then another Lambo. So it's really just Ferrari and Audi, of which I think there's only 2 Audis in the field anyway, that are maybe are looking a little bit weaker right now, but otherwise yeah, nice to see a little mixture in the manufacturers, which is what we want to see for GT3 racing, of course. You know, cast our minds back a few years, Sam, and it wasn't that long ago in GT3s on iRacing that we just didn't have the same range of cars that we do now. So yeah, great to see them all up there represented, as yeah, Martin Statman still hanging on to that draft of those cars ahead.
Yep, trying to just try and stay in touch at the moment. How close, in fact? Well, here comes Becker. This is the problem with having a nice slipstream. Well, if you can clear Bortolotto here, then that might let him free, and yep, that is what has happened. So watch out for Becker definitely on this. This could be a dangerous one for him. He's actually just set the fastest 4th sector of anyone. 7 sectors around this long Le Mans circuit. Pascal Haas has just gone to 9th position right there. And also Bushi just approaching the line. Now, has he got enough fuel to go for one more lap? Oh, that's surely a 1x, albeit they are very lenient around this circuit, so he may get away with it. No, I mean, you can see how far he was with the mark on the outside there. That's not a lap time for Bushi, and he will have maybe 2 more laps to go. I think the drivers may be allowed to complete the lap time that they start at the end of the session.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see exactly what's going to happen with the rolling over of the session when it gets to the end. But yeah, Statman up there in P4, Marco Zila, who we're watching now, in P5. First of the 2 Austrian sim racer cars who are back-to-back there in 5th and 6th. Moser now jumps up into 8th position, representing the Porsches. So yeah, we've got Porsche 5, 7, 8 and 9 at the minute. And yeah, still Bortolotti and Bushi leading the front of the field in 1st and 2nd for for this session.
Yes, we still got a few more just to kind of complete this this run of laps. Dominic Fleischmann, one of them. Oh, that's not the line that he wants to be taking right there. And then you got this really bad slowdown. If you just go slightly over the white line, right at the end of the Porsche curves, then you get a big slowdown, and that can be very ugly in that scenario. Of course, these 4 chicanes as well right at the end of the lap can also be problematic. Really no 1x's around this circuit. It's all slowdowns, and guaranteed we will see that come lap 1 of those who are not familiar with iRacing and Le Mans. You just have a stream of cars down the Mulsanne straight, just having to slow up, and pretty much everywhere around the circuit, drivers going inexplicably slowly because they have to slow down by about 5 seconds. So expect to see that on lap 1 of the race. Something that the drivers will have to be very cautious about doing.
Yeah, obviously you're going to see like 2 lanes as they go down Mulsanne straight, a slow lane and a fast lane, Sam, I think. So yeah, that will be interesting, like you say, for us to see on the opening lap itself. Down to 2 minutes left on the clock for this qualifying session, as Walter Lux for AVL RACETECH Sim Racing Team jumps up into 5th position. So he's now the highest placed AVL Sim Racing Team driver. And yeah, nice consistent lap from him on that one. It looked like with a 3 minutes 53.36, so he should be happy with that one. Dominic Fleischmann, who we can see at the minute in 18th position, we'll see if he can improve on his 3:55 on his next attempt. Quite a range of iRatings out there in this session. Seeing plenty in sort of the mid to high 3000s. So yeah, dare say we're going to see some close racing out there as those guys settle into their 40-minute race. And again, just to remind you, we're going to be getting pit stops during this race as well, thanks to the 50% fuel limit that all the cars are going to be running. And also they all have 1 fast repair available as well. On board now with Pascal Haas as he comes into the end of a lap and the forward chicane. So tricky, these 2 chicanes, Sam. You know, you spend 3 minutes 50 working your way around the rest of the lap, and the whole time can just cost you in that final chicane, just as we saw with it was Bushi a few moments ago, right, who ran wide and presumably got an off track in that chicane, and all that work is done just in 1 moment.
Yeah, it's tricky to commit to it in that scenario as well. You need to kind of stick to your guns and make sure that you commit to the corner, but it is very easy to get a little bit cautious and just play it safe. But you need absolutely everything you can over those curves. Push it just hard enough so that you don't unsettle the car or cut the corner too much or run wide, like we saw with Bushi earlier on. Bortolozzi, well, the checker flag is out. Now, let's see if we advance straight away. I think the drivers are going to be allowed to complete this lap time that they set. So that will be possible for them, as they are, well, right now, Bortolozzi doesn't have too much competition. I think the next driver who's got to be concerned with is Thorsten Ulrich, who is not too far behind on the circuit. He's got about a third of the lap to go. Pretty much everyone else in the top 10 have already gone back to the pits, so this is looking very good right now for Mirko.
Yes, and say looking comfortable as well with that 6th attempt gap regardless. So see how close the rest of the field is. He just gapped everybody else in that that clean attempt there. It doesn't look like he managed to improve then on that next attempt, right? So he's still at the top with that 3:52.27. But yeah, very strong from Bortolotti out there. And like I say, we'll see as the seconds tick away whether these guys are going to get the opportunity to complete the laps. We're still seeing a good 10 or 15 drivers still active on track. So they are obviously still trying to put in that final one, especially here Thorsten Ulrich, currently in that 3rd place, just 7/10 off of that pole position. Oh, he has a big wiggle there, Sam, right in the middle of the corner, manages to gather it back up and still seems keeping the car pointing forward and keeping that momentum going. And yeah, just come into the end of a lap and those 4 chicanes, and we'll see what sort of time he is able to put in.
Yep, let's see how he bounced them. Looks pretty neat and tidy. Was a fastest of anyone. First sector, that was a bit of a slide. If he can get on the front row, that would be a good achievement. I think this might well be good enough for the front row. Oh, it's good enough for pole, and by 7/10 of a second. Thorsten Ulrich, what a lap time. I saw the couple of purple sectors, but he also set 3 personal best sectors as well. And despite a bit of a slide, as we both oohed and ahed at the end there, Lee, it was still good enough.
It certainly looked like he was pushing well and truly on the limit, didn't it? We saw him, working sideways as going through the Porsche curves, and then, like you say, scrabbling for grip over chicane. And at the minute, it looks like he's judged it to perfection at the closing moments of the session. So again, we still have got a few other cars on track. I'm seeing Pascal Haas, looking fairly quick in a sector or two, but I'm not sure that he's actually going to be on a lap to challenge. We shall have to just wait and see. But yeah, Bortolotti and Bushi then second and third currently for the pros, with Habsburg in 21st, Garitz in 37th, and Calderon in 38th for those pro drivers currently as these last cars crossing the line. Horschleiner down in 36th. Pascal Haas still trying to push on. He's going to be the last car still moving along with Ollie Brinkman for AVL RACETECH Sim Racing team. So yeah, here comes Haas into the final chicane.
Yeah, this is, well, let's see if he has a similar slide. That's been very good. Really taking a lot of curb. Came even to the top 10. Not too many personal best sectors actually on this lap for Haas. It is a personal best lap actually. So he's seemingly put it together very well, but it was not enough for an improved position there. And he stays where he was. But now, I believe Brinkman must have not crossed the line in time to start this lap. But we're not transferring over yet, so let's see. Ole Brinkman absolutely nailed in this one. He's a bit of a showman, clearly, because he's the only one out on circuit, so we'll pay attention to him, and, well, this will give us a decent demonstration of the Le Mans circuit. This bit is, well, there's not too much to it. It's a very long straight, albeit not quite as long as it used to be.
No, absolutely. Like I say, great shot on board in the Ferrari as he works his way through the chicane. But yeah, we're just waiting to see what happens with the session. Really, as you say, Sam, it's a bit weird. It didn't trigger the close of it. So we'll see how long these guys push on for, and then we can get started for this 40-minute race. And that whole time we were talking, of course, he's still working his way down the Mulsanne Straight, because that's just the scale of the Le Mans circuit that we operate on. And now finally he works his way in towards the second half of the lap. Yeah,
and then the straights continue on. And of course, the factor that I always kind of see with this circuit is the fact that whilst the end of the circuit, you've got a lot of kind of fast-flowing corners, not too different to many other circuits. The lack of wing that you have to run for those long straights completely transform the way that you have to tackle those Porsche curves. They're slightly different. I know somewhere like Suzuka, where those corners sort of replicate. It's totally different, way more tricky, and is a proper endurance layout. This one for sprint racing, it can be pretty epic as well. Those toes that you get around the vast majority of the track means that no one can really pull away, and guaranteed we will see plenty of that tonight. Just hopefully on that lap one that we don't see too many slowdowns, because it's not the longest race in the world. If a driver does have an issue on that first lap, if they pick up a slowdown, that's going to cost them for the rest of the race. You really need to make sure you keep it clean. I think, again, the guys who have done plenty of sim racing in the past will know that, and it could be a useful bit of information.
And so after the sim let Ollie almost complete his entire lap, it then rolled the session over before he could actually put any of that into use with a registered lap time. So yeah, that is the qualifying session completed, and we can see the top 12 there right in front of us at the minute. Thorsten Ulrich banging in that lap towards the end there for RC Sim Racing iRacing, 3 minutes 51.550, the only driver in the 51s, and as we can see, 7 tenths ahead then of the first of the pro class drivers, Mirko Bortolotti. Attila Bushi then in third with Florian Becker in fourth, Walter Lux in fifth with Martin Statman in sixth, Marco Zila in seventh with Marcus Riemer in eighth, Benjamin Moser in ninth with Thomas Pierber in 10th for Austrian Sim Racers, Harold Blaumer then in 11th, and Pascal Haas in 12th. That makes, in fact, 6, I think, Austrian Sim Racer drivers back-to-back, wasn't it, Sam? I think I saw there. Michael Lerkbacher then in 13th with Tobias Kurz in 14th, Christian Meyer in 15th, Martin Lamprecht in 16th, Sandro Marsini 17th, with Marco Olsen in 18th. Maximilian Siegel in 19th, Ralph Butner in 20th. Then we've got Ferdinand Habsburg not quite fitting onto the his surname not quite fitting onto the qualifying grid with the double barrel part as well, but that's who it is. Ferdinand Habsburg in 21st. Same issue then for Dominic Fleischmann in 22nd. 23rd then is Rito Koenig, and 24th is Lewis Klinkhammer. 25th is Lucas Lackner-Luke. 26th is Thomas Leitgeb. 27th then is Christoph Meinbauer. 28th then is Christoph Schalpsteiner. 29th is Marcus Deutsch. 30th is Stefano Pellegrino. 31st is Mark Selage. 32nd is Lucas Skavnikar. 33rd is Darren Kozic, with Bernard Reigler in 34th. Michael Volgantants in 35th, with Benedict Hochleitner in 36th. 37th then is Ollie Brinkman. 38th is Finn Gerritz. Next of our pro drivers, Tatiana Calderon then was 39th in the end. Gregory Jones in 40th. Lucas Mayer in 41st, with Martin Matza in 42nd. Philip Mayer in 43rd, and Stefan Kappeler bringing up the rear in 44th. And that is our very full grid out there today. Sorry for a couple of the butchered names. I think we got through reasonably well, even despite the overlay trying to trip me up by only displaying a couple of first names. I think we got there, Sam.
Yeah, that's. I think that might be the best name read-through we've ever had on Apex Racing TV, honestly. So if anyone new to the channel, don't get used to that level. Must be said, especially for myself. But the drivers just going through the Porsche cars, plenty of time for them to prepare, and a little bit of a word from the organisers: the drivers can only launch after the forward chicane. So once they're onto the main straight, they can launch. Problem is, for the front guys, they can launch. But this is such a big grid that there'll be a green flag for many of the drivers still entering those chicanes. But everyone just needs to keep it neat and tidy, and we should be in for a very good race. This should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that huge stacked field as they work their way down to the chicane. The safety car is about to peel off. Forster Ulrich then is going to be leading off Mirko Bortolotti, and we are about to begin the first lap of the AVL RACETECH Challenge for Pro special event. Forster Ulrich comes out chicane, big old wiggle as he gets on the loud panel. Bortolotti slots in immediately behind. Let's see if the rest of the field gets through the chicane cleanly in the background. It's been looking pretty good so far. Bortolotti having a little bit of a look on the inside, but it's just going to decide to stick in the slipstream for now as they work their way into Dunlop curb. Then it's Bushi, then it's Becker, then it's Zeiler, then Statman, and then Riemer, who will following with at the minute. And then just that long line of Austrian sim racer cars, and Bortolotti already under pressure. Sam Ulrich trying to break a little bit of a gap, and Bushi I thought was going to stick his nose up the inside of Bortolotti there, nothing quite doing. Same then for Reimer, and the rest of the cars work their way through this section of the track and work their way up towards the Massol Straight. And Ulrich Sam is trying to scamper away right from the beginning, 1.3 seconds as he heads onto the Mulsanne. Bortolotti's still going to have a little bit of toe to work with there, but he's under a lot of pressure from Bushi. Let's see how aggressively Bortolotti defends into the first chicane.
Yeah, incredible confidence from Ulrich on cold tyres, and Bushi is already going to be past Bortolotti. Absolutely no chance. Bortolotti realising that, taking the smart move at just backing out. There's no point in racing down into the first chicane on lap 1. And we've got a spinner. Sandro Massani is off the circuit. He's going to rejoin, and that was so unlucky. And that was Tobias Kurtz right there, who was involved in that incident. I'm not sure why Massani went off in the first place. But yeah, super unlucky for his rival right there, as well. I've actually got a bit of a break. So Bushi and Bortolotti now quite far cleared. Then we've got Statman, and this is all the Austrian sim racers close to one another, but they need to not fight one another too much, and make sure that they get past Statman, who's leading this long track.
Yeah, crazy action from the start. So really unfortunate there, the instant in the chicane. I said Massani kind of, once he lost it, he did what he could. You know, he was just a passenger from there. And then, the Austrian sim racers car just a completely unlucky bystander. So I think other than that, though, I'm seeing Marcus Deutsch in pit lane. I'm seeing Walter Lux in pit lane. So there's a couple of cars who've had incidents. But honestly, Sam, for a 45-car grid working away for the first time through the start of a lap, it's been looking very, very clean, but frantic at the same time. As we're seeing Fleischmann right deep in the pack there, side by side with Blaumeier, and yeah, really working hard all the way through the field. Looking at our interval tower on our timing screen, we're just seeing orange and red colours everywhere, which means everyone is within half a second of each other pretty much through the entire field. Just a quick check-in on those pro drivers. Obviously, we've got Bushi and Bortolotti at the front, who we have been seeing second and third currently. Then we've got Ferdinand Habsburg in 14th, Sam.
Seagull has crashed. Just saw him lose it in the background. I thought it was going to be a nasty scenario where he was going to skip across the track a little bit like we saw earlier on. Oh no, is that Habsburg? Oh
yeah,
dear,
it is right on cue. So he was running in that, I think, 14th position. I was about to say he's trying to be patient now and pick his moment to get back into the running. Let's see exactly what happened to Ferdinand as he works his way on the brakes, about to tip it into the right-hander, and there's a little bit too much curb on entry, I think, wasn't it, Sam? We could see the rear sort of unsettle, so then when he went to turn in, yeah, really just continued round, and not much more he could do. So he's got up and running again in 36th, and we'll see what progress he can make from there. But yeah, unfortunate for Ferdinand, he was running, yeah, in that strong top 15 positions. Back at the front, Forsten Ulrich, still got about 1 second gap or so. He didn't really manage to build upon that anymore, so he's got a toe behind for the cars. It's going to make that real difficult for him. But yeah, just this constant stream of cars now working their way down through the chicane, and yeah, great job from almost everybody on that opening lap. Still seeing, yeah, 40 plus cars on him.
Coulton's got a little bit detached from the rest of the field at the moment, but yeah, I think she's out from the pits to Coulton. So that is why I expect her to catch up by the end of the race. Salage has had to enter the pit lane. Is that? Yeah. Jump start, maybe?
And Calderon into pit lane again as well. So, yeah, some issues for a couple of drivers.
Yeah, maybe didn't serve a slowdown as well. I think the way that you get a jump start if you're kind of further down the order would be by passing the car directly ahead of you on the grid. So maybe it could have happened because, yeah, like for some of those drivers, the green flag came up very, very early for them. Well, I don't know how Statman's been able to keep behind all these Austrian sim racers for this opening lap, but I think the defence has ended. He's been passed. Zila up to 4th.
Yeah, we'll see now if he can start to bridge that gap across to Bortolotti. We can see really it's a group of 3 cars at the front, and then we've got, yeah, Zila leading out the train of Austrian sim racers plus Statman, as you said. But yeah, he's going to be working to try and not allow those top 3 cars to escape. Currently Mercedes 1 and 2, then a Lambo, then a Porsche, then a BMW and a Lambo, and then a string of Porsches for our top 10. And what a battle going on the second half of them. Also, Sam, I didn't think there was going to be quite enough room to jinx across to the right there for Goritz, but just about makes it work. And look at the overspeed he's got from that toe. He works his way pretty much through that through that whole group of cars, it seemed there, Sam, and he should be able to lead into the corner, but right round the outside.
I'll slow down.
Lackner was it, and yeah, problems there for Goritz. So he did all the good work on the straight, and now having all kinds of issues on the chicane.
Yeah, I don't know why he. Oh, that was Patari right there, because he was so quick, as we were saying. But he must have had a slowdown to serve. Oh no, Bortolozzi. I think he's just had an off. He doesn't seem to have crashed, and now he's just got seemingly deja vu, because the same liveried car keeps on passing him, and he's down to 9th place. Awful stuff. There, we will get a replay of what happened, albeit it's not totally obvious. He didn't stop, but he certainly lost time.
No, and the car looks to be intact. So yeah, let's see if there's any obvious reason. So yeah, coming out the corner nice and clean, slow down. So he's serving a slowdown penalty from the looks of it, and Sam, in the middle of a track, which is maybe a little bit awkward. The cars behind managed to get around, and just having to wait for it to clear, it seemed.
Yeah, he seemed to be a bit wide through Mulsanne corner. I guess that's where he got it. You usually get the inside one, the one on the inside with those invisible, not invisible, but ghost bollards. That's a really nasty slowdown, but similarly you got one on the outside. I think you can get one for entering too wide and maybe one for exiting too wide as well, so it must have been one of those. Well, that's his chances of the race win certainly being compromised as such as Moser getting past Statman. I think the Porsche curves, excellent work there. I think Statman may have gone wide and picked up that slowdown I was talking about earlier on. Now he's got to try to keep it out of the wall. Drivers rushing past him through that sort of nothing chicane, and Statman, after a brilliant lap on defense to stay in P4, which would have turned into P3, is now down to P10.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Statman there. It was difficult to see from the angle because we were head on, but kind of at first glance it looked like maybe Bortolotti was being very, very aggressive behind, and I reckon made a little bit of contact with the car ahead, which then pushed him into Statman. So yeah, unfortunate for him, but at least it looks like he's able to keep running at pace, as Klinkhammer very, very close behind Christian Mayer, and has a little bit of a look into Dunlop as well, Sam. See if he gets a bit of a cutback. Obviously, he's got all the time of a Mulsanne straight, even if he can't quite get it to work on the exits. He just wants to bide his time and use that toe. But he's so close, Sam, he's not going to be able to make use of any of the toe.
Yeah, exactly. You actually want to be a little bit further back, don't you, so that you can get some nice momentum through the first half of the straight. Let's see how good he is, the Tetra Rouge. That's a good distance back. He actually lost a little bit of time, but as Bloormeyer, I think, has just had
Ulrich, Sam, down in second.
Yeah. What has happened here? Is that another slowdown, I wonder?
So he was fairly close with Bushi, right? So it's not like he was, 3, 4, 5 seconds down the road. So if it was a slowdown, it was a very, very brief one. But I wonder if it was just the toe, just the toe of Bushi, look, enabled him to power on past. And I dare say these two are going to keep working back and forth in that toe for the next few laps as well. So yeah, just before they even got to the corner, and I think Ulrich had a bit of a lift, because we heard even on board with Bushi that he lifted, and still Ulrich went backwards. So the two of them playing a little bit of tactical game, working together, trying to make sure they keep building that gap to the first of the Austrian sim races behind.
Yeah, and just a reminder, or anyone who's only just tuned in, the drivers will have to make one pit stop. There's really no way of getting around it. They've got half fuel capacity, and this is a high fuel consumption circuit, so they should be able to go 25 to 30 minutes into the race. There's no way you're going to save that round them on. I mean, he takes pointless. So they might be maybe fuel saving a little bit just to edge out another lap, as Bortolotti at the corner that his race was compromised earlier on. He makes back a position for the Gazette racing team. So we feel so not too pressing for these drivers, as also I think Piper's just got past Haas right there, because they are teammates. A little bit further back, it's not that far back, they're still in the same straight. Ligep and Schorpensteiner battling Fleischmann. Now Fleischmann was that Lamborghini earlier on who was very slow down the straights. Apologies, BMW. He was very slow down the straights and got overtaken by a couple of drivers. But he's still fighting around there. He's actually gained a couple of places since we last touched in with him. And the RC Sim Racing iRacing driver looking to gain another place now on the Austrian ahead.
Yeah, and has a little look to the inside, Sam, right as you say. I thought he was going to really stick his nose in there on that time, but patience and virtue was the better option on that one. Already 11 minutes into this race, Sam, and things are just starting to settle down a little bit. That kind of initial frantic start to the race has, as Goritz has an issue, just the rear completely gets away from him on turn-in, but fortunately doesn't collect anyone else behind and has managed to gather it back up and should be off and away again without any further damage. But I was just going to say, whilst we're, now that we're past the 10-minute mark, let's just have a quick message from AVL RACETECH. So again, they're the organisers of this Beat the Pro challenge, and AVL RACETECH is the global expert motorsport division of AVL. They're working in all technical fields of the sport for more than 20 years, and AVL RACETECH are currently involved with customers in 17 race series around the world in the fields of engineering, testing, simulation and manufacturing. As a key supplier to teams in the world's most respected racing series, from Formula 1 to NASCAR and MotoGP. They offer state-of-the-art technologies and services to the motorsport world. They believe in and utilize motorsports as a platform for innovation. They transfer this know-how into road car development for future generations of mobility. And to follow them on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, you can just search for AVL RACETECH. So yeah, big thanks to them for putting this show on for us today on Apex Racing TV. And as I was putting out that message, I think we saw a bit more of a show. Sam, I saw in the corner of my eye a couple of cars having an incident or two.
Yeah, this is Statman. Now, I went to the chopper because I thought that there might be contact with another driver, but I think it's actually going to be all by himself. Ooh. It's quite a low grip circuit, I think, Lee, and these types of incidents happen a lot. Or like I was saying, I mean, like every corner around this circuit, I mean, they didn't look particularly tricky because you've got no downforce on the car, you've got no rear wing, they are so difficult. And then you factor in the slightly kind of ungrippy track surface, and this is really one of the most tricky circuits in the world, even though if you were going to look at a track map, it really does not look particularly intimidating. It is very difficult, as we've got a couple of the AVL RACETECH sim racing team drivers going at it. Apologies, no, this is one of them, and also Fleischmann, once again, he's getting plenty of camera time, but he deserves it because he's doing Batsling, and that's what we want to see. Just at the fastest second sector of anyone in the race, by the way, is Fleischmann. I think he must have had a wonderful toe. 25 seconds, I think, is about the length of the Mulsanne Straight, and that's how long that sector is. And he's gone a little bit too deep. That will be pushing it for Senna. He was all four wheels off the track, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll get a penalty.
Yeah, certainly seems to be keeping his foot in at the moment, so yeah, seems to have got away with that. But yeah, quick is in sector 2, and then too quick into the chicane for sure. Just a quick check on the leaders. Yeah, Bushi and Ulrich still working together in tandem. They've pulled out a 6-second lead now on Marco Zeiler in 3rd, then Marcus Riemer 4th, and Mirko Bortolotti has pulled himself back up into 5th. I mean, he's still... I mean, you said earlier on, Sam, that he certainly made his life much more difficult for the race win, but he's only 8 seconds back. You know, we've got 25 minutes remaining still and a pit stop, so I still suggest that Bortolotti could be a guess. And there's an issue for Reimer just out of the picture, and Loebacher as well. So we'll have a look at the replay on that in a minute. But yeah, really unfortunate for the two of them. They were running so strongly in that top 10. And just got tangled together, I dare say. So let's have a look at the two teammates and see exactly what happened as we pitch ourselves in just way too... Oh, okay, so just lost the rear again all by himself for Reimer, and then I thought we were going to have another car get caught up, but no, so just Reimer on his own. But yeah, again, that's the, 4th or 5th time now, Sam, that we've seen just the rear step out on someone, kind of entry to mid-corner. The one bit of key information I failed to get from the organisers is I don't know actually whether this is a fixed setup event, so it could be that the fixed setups for the guys are just a little bit, you know, tricky on the rear, but it certainly seems to be a regular occurrence, and across multiple different cars as well. Yep, something that the drivers are really struggling with. Let's check out what the conditions are. Oh, that's a slowdown. That is Lerkbecker. So earlier on, when I was saying that Lerkbecker's had an issue, and he hasn't, I was merely anticipating it, really ahead of the times there. So that's great commentary. You're on a very low latency connection where you are, right? Yeah, exactly. Or well, extremely high, seemingly. And that is the conditions. It's already getting dark because it's November, and quite cool, 23 degrees. So I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot more grip than this, but yeah, the drivers are struggling. Lerkbecker immediately back on pace. Yeah, and we see Reimer just ahead of him having a big moment through that super fast right-hander. Again, struggling to keep the rear under control. And yeah, YouTube chat tells me, Sam, that yeah, it is indeed a fixed setup event, which makes lots of sense with having guest drivers and things, and also explains, yeah, maybe this kind of repeating pattern, and slowdown penalty being served there for Reimer. So I didn't really see it happen in the previous corner particularly, Sam, but so I certainly said he was struggling to keep the rear under control, so I guess that's where that came from.
Yeah, and you see it a lot of the time if a driver's overheating the tyres and they're sliding about a lot, and it can be very tricky to keep the car on track. I mean, to be fair, this it's a bit easier because we've got those long straights to cool the tyres down, but is still something to think about. I think that was Fleischmann making up another move that was on Ralph Buchner for MIL on Motorsport. We still have, I think, 30 cars going. Calderon back out on circuit. That is good to see. Her lap time's a little bit off the pace, but I think her sector times are pretty solid, so I think it's just the occasional mistake for Tatiana, one of the real-life drivers racing tonight. And still there's battles going on absolutely everywhere. This is one of them into camera shots. Absolutely storming through there. Oh, dearie me. And that was Buchner and Fleischmann. And Fleischmann, after making a lot of overtakes, has hit the wall. He may well take his pit stop early if he has a faster pair available.
Yeah, unfortunate for Fleischmann, like I say, he was looking pretty strong before that incident, and still at front, Ulrich and Burschi are just working in tandem, still trying to build out that gap. Just about out to 7 seconds now on Zyla. What did you see there, Sam?
I think it was on the clutch there. Was Ulrich. Let's listen. Yeah, he's fuel saving a lot. You can't get to the end of the race on 50% fuel. There's no way. So they must just be close to that one extra lap, and they really value maybe getting 8 laps done rather than 7.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say that, I mean, and again, it explains why they're both happy, kind of working with each other, swapping positions, taking turns of who's going to have that toe, helping that fuel saving a little bit. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much variation we get as we get to crunch time with the pit stops of how many people, if any, kind of run a lap longer, and does it actually look like it helped them and benefited them. I mean, I do wonder, Sam, looking from 28th position down on our timing tower, whether we might have any little surprises for someone who suddenly appears somewhere in the top 10. Everyone from 28th down has visited the pit lane at some point, and we're now well into the pit stop window. So Lurkbacher, I'm seeing falling down the timing tower. Sam, he just had a issue somewhere, dropped down 3 or 4 spots or so. Car looks to be intact, so I wonder if it was another one of those pesky slowdowns.
I'm seeing an off-track come up for him. Let's get a gyro view of it, or dashboard view of it. Bending it close to the wall there. Oh, a little bit too much curb there, put him offline, and then too much curb again. And that is a miracle that he hasn't crashed. Big correction, but he kept it.
Well done, sir.
And he didn't lose too much time. No, he got slowed down as well. It kept it pinned, so that seems to be alright. And just lost a couple of places. He's down to P11, but still in the race. Yeah,
great save from Lurk back there. From the moment he first lost control, if you'd have given him, you'll lose 3 or 4 spots, mate. I think he would have absolutely snapped your hand off for that. So, it did well to keep it out of the wall. And here's Bortolotti continuing on his recovery. He had moved up to 4th in the last lap or so, now challenging Zyla for 3rd. And he's then going to be basically in a position of pulling Zyla along, as he's got no one else to take a tow from, as he tries to continue to close back on the leads. We'll see it's more like an 8.5 second gap to those leaders now. But yeah, we'll see what Bortolotti does. I mean, now that he's kind of out of draft, does he maybe pit a little bit early and see if he can use a draft to his effect from another car somewhere else? I guess that's a bit kind of risky if you're trying to deliberately put yourself in traffic. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether he thinks he's got an option to continue that charge back up into the top 2 positions.
This is often when in real life motorsport you'd be thinking, come on, let's have a safety car and bring him back into play. But no chance that that's happening quite. So he will have to make up that 8.5 seconds all by himself if he's going to win this race. We're seeing some bump drafting here. Let's go to the nose. That's the wrong nose.
Yeah, no. Not quite. I saw some serious bump drafting earlier on from Bortolotti, but yeah, it looks like these two are playing it a little bit more cautiously. But again, just running absolute nose to tail still, as they have been pretty much the whole way through the race. Bulk of the top 10 still being made up by Porsches, all running 4th to 7th, and all from the Austrian Sim Racers team. Still these two Mercedes out on front with the lone Lamborghini then for Bortolotti in third. And yeah, what a great view from the back of Bushi's car there, just watching Ulrich through these super fast sequence of corners as we work our way towards the end of a lap. And yeah, both these guys, Sam, obviously seem comfortable and confident on these fixed setups.
Yeah, they having absolutely no problems, are they, right now? So getting into the realm now where we might see some pit stops. I think everyone will be able to go one further lap than this. I think it's whether or not you can go a lap beyond that. So currently about to start lap 7. So everyone will be able to do 7 laps. Not sure if everyone will be able to do 8 laps. That is what I think these two have been aiming for, so which takes the lead. Of course, no way that he's going to be able to break the draft. And then, yeah, keep an eye out on our time tower to see if anyone starts to drop down the order, because that will most likely be the explanation if we do see that. But these guys will continue. Oh. No, they will not. Well, I'm hopeless. They are both into the pits. What was with the fuel saving then, Lee? I don't understand it. Surely if... yeah, I didn't get it, but...
yeah, we'll see. That's a strange one. Maybe it was more just of a, I'm just not going to close in on you and I'm just going to stay in the draft type of situation rather than the fuel. But yeah, the whole of the field, Sam, look like they're all going to be coming in on this same lap. Certainly the top 10 so far have all pitted, and yeah, it doesn't look like anybody is going to make a different strategy. So this is where we keep an eye on, you know, a few of those guys who did pit earlier on. Yeah, are we going to get a little surprise from a Mindbauer or a Selaj, who are running sort of 26th, 27th, who have already made their pit stop? We'll have to see how long those guys are going to be stationary in the pit lane for, and if anyone else can sort of challenge them out of strategy a little bit. But yeah, every single car so far come in into 22nd, and Ulrich, Sam, is already out. So Ulrich ahead of Bushi. He's got a little bit more gap, I'd say, to Bushi, but they're still running 1 and 2 very comfortably. And yeah, much quicker stop there from Ulrich. He's pulled a couple of seconds. So let's see if he can nail it on this opening lap and not allow Bushi to get back in his toe.
Yeah, that could be very significant, as we see a few more of the drivers leave the pit lane right now. Potts 8 seconds behind, dropping Zila a little bit. Anyone with a long pit stop. Yeah, a bit of a long pit stop for Florian Becker there. He was stationary for 5 seconds longer than everyone else. I think he's lost a place to Lurkbacher right there, albeit we've seen Lurkbacher with a couple of mistakes, so probably was going to make up that position anyway. But the Kazakh racing team driver may be using a little bit more fuel than some of his rivals, or perhaps just taking unnecessarily long amounts of fuel. Everyone else, I think, is being very well behaved. And Mindbauer, with that earlier pit stop, 1 lap earlier pit stop, he was actually quite long in the pit lane, but he hasn't really gained too much. He stayed in 20, well, I say stayed, he's still around the same area. He's in 22nd position ahead of Gersitz behind, who has had a couple of spins, but I think the 777 is genuinely very fast. If he can avoid any spins for the rest of the race, I think he might get back into the top 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, he's looking quick, and it's just whether we can keep that consistency going as we're into the last 15 minutes of this 40-minute race. So everyone now has taken that pit stop. Let's have a quick look at the Austrian Sim Racers team running 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th still. And yeah, these 3 Porsches in 4th, 5th and 6th, yeah, all running nose to tail still, and very deep for Moser into the second part of the chicane, but manages to gather it back up and continue the momentum. Be interesting to see, Sam, as we head towards the end of this race a bit more, how aggressive those guys really start pushing, as like I say, kind of they've been maybe working together a bit more as teammates, but when it comes to crunch time, it's an individual event, and they want the bragging rights of coming out on top within their team. Of course, Zyla just ahead still, a second or so further up the road.
Yeah, this is part of a series, so yeah, you want to get as many points as you possibly can to help yourself in the championship. But yeah, right now they are quite happy staying behind. Wonder if when you're fueling out the car, you got to kind of think, well, am I going to have the slipstream for the rest of the race? Because that can affect whether you put in, say, 20 litres in or maybe 22 litres into the car. It's something to be thinking about when you are in that scenario. So I wonder if a couple of these guys are dependent on getting the slipstream in order to get to the end of the race. By the way, someone just saying in the YouTube chat, Florian only started race iRacing 10 days ago. As, oh dear, it's Lurkbacker again. I think that might be terminal for Lurkbacker. Yeah, that's an ugly shot of that car. This is what happened to her. Ow. That's a very common Le Mans mistake. So go back to live pictures. And yeah, that is terminal there for Lurkbacker. Still Ulrich holding on out ahead. And that gap now 2 seconds. So it'll be interesting to see if he is actually lifting and coasting any more after all that lifting and coasting earlier on in the race. Whether he's able to keep it flat out. Here is Ligeb with another one of his teammates, Lucas Lackner. This is the battle for 16th and 17th right now. And on that last lap, Ligeb was significantly faster, so certainly the wind in his sails.
Yeah, like I say, certainly looks like he's pushing hard at the minute, so let's see if he is in a position to make that move on Lackner anytime soon. Yeah, we're seeing, say, some nice little trains of cars throughout this kind of 15th to sort of 25th sort of position at the minute. But no immediate kind of major battles looking like they're about to kick off. I dare say Reigler, who we're watching now, is going to have a good opportunity for a run as they head down the Mulsanne straight for AVL RACETECH sim racing team. We can see on the graphic there, he's gained 15 positions from his starting grid, and Hawklightner just ahead has gained 18. So yeah, great job from both those guys of moving themselves up through the field. Whilst we're looking at it, Klinkhammer in 11th gained 13 spots as well. So yeah, great job from him to almost be in the top 10 from that grid position. Let's have a little look at Darren Kozic as he works his way into the Dunlop curve in one of only two, I think it was, Sam, Audis that we've got. Yeah, only one of only two Audis in the field. He is the second one, though, I have to say, with Benedict Hortleitner just a few positions further up in 18th. But yeah, good to see the Audi represented. No McLaren in this field, but yeah, we've got the Audi, the BMW, the Ferrari, Lambo, Merc, and the Porsche.
Yeah, it's always a very colourful grid. Hopefully we see, I think 1 or 2 GT3s have been rumoured, haven't they, for iRacing in the next build? So hopefully it's even better in the coming months. Always like to see these new GT3s be added, particularly a new McLaren. That would be lovely. The one the 12C, it's good, but yeah, let's get a new one if we possibly could.
Yeah, well, now that the 4GT's been like removed from rotation, yeah, the McLaren is by far the old timer now in the group, right? So like I say, definitely feels well overdue. And move from Lightgeb on Lackner. Well, he may have just, I was going to say didn't come off, but maybe he was just ahead on that last straight, but we did see that Lackner was ahead previously as well, so they're still working their way through, and yeah, we'll see if Lightgeb can get that move done anytime soon. But he's been caught a fair bit more, to be fair, by Lorkneitner and behind as well, so yeah, he needs to be careful, keeping an eye in his mirrors and what pressure he may have from behind, as well as trying to attack in front.
Yeah, these guys have caught up quite quickly, haven't they? Hochleitner and Riegler have caught a decent amount, a couple of seconds actually, by Hochleitner on that last tour of the circuit, so looking very strong. Let's see, are we going to see a move here for Lightgib? Now, who's going to back out on this one? Surely one of them is going to have to, or they will go side by side through Indianapolis, and it is the latter that they choose. But they do it very respectfully. Nice work, guys. Left plenty of room, and even on the corner exit as well, they're leaving plenty of room. And I think Hochleitner is saying, well, guys, why are you battling? You're just slowing each other up. I can't get past because this track's too narrow. And all it's doing is inviting Reigler to join this fight. But now maybe Hochleitner has got a good enough run on these couple of gyres, and I think he may well get alongside. Hasn't got the draft, but at least he isn't going to be boxed in when it comes to braking for the Porsche curves, and that is what he's going to take advantage of. Very deep on the brakes, ABS having to kick in right there, but he gets it done. He's up to 17th position now, and like Geb, loses a couple of places in quick succession.
Yeah, like I say, not a great few corners there for Lightgeb. He almost got that move done on Lackner, just had the rear light up on him as he tries to get on the power, and yeah, ending up losing a spot and immediately under pressure from Reigler behind. And yeah, right on cue here is Reigler, so let's see how closely he can follow through the 4 chicanes and whether he's going to be in a position to pressure any time soon. As Meyer into pit lane, yeah, unexpectedly, so dropping down the order from sort of 14th or 15th or so.
I think that's odd, because I'm seeing that apparently Meyer's last pit stop was 18 seconds long, so I think it was a normal pit stop for Meyer, and yet going to stop once again.
Perhaps he's reached instant limit for drive-throughs would be a possibility.
Oh,
so,
he's also missing the front of his car.
that could have something more to do with it, possibly.
Admittedly, not too important in the Porsche. It's rear-wheel drive, of course, but still get a meatball for it. I'll try to find where that happens. But yeah, that explains.
So Ulrich seems to have broken Bushi, Sam. So I was keeping an eye on the timing towers, and I was seeing him keeping that sort of 2.5 second gap. And all of a sudden now we're almost up to 5 seconds. So yeah, great job from Ulrich through that hit sequence just to get that jump on Bushi, so he wasn't still in his toe. And yeah, so far it seems like he's got the pace. That does mean that Bortolotti is just a little bit closer on Bushi, so he's still got an opportunity maybe to challenge for that second place, but time is really running out. You can see we're down to sort of 6 minutes left on the clock. So yeah, Ulrich, Bushi, Bortolotti are looking like being the most likely order that the top 3 are going to be finishing in. That's not so certain through the rest of the field though, for sure. So still seeing lots of close groupings through the field. Pascal Haas and Thomas Pleiber, Austrian sim racers 6th and 7th, are looking like they're in a little bit of a battle still. And now we're going to take a look at that replay, see what happened to Meyer to cause that major damage.
Oh,
and,
too much curb.
On that inside curb, just spat him around immediately, Sam. So yeah, unfortunate, hard into the barrier on that one. And yeah, we've seen 1 or 2 of those curb strikes just unsettling the cars for different drivers here and there. And here's this grouping still then for the Austrian sim racer cars. Again, Moser, Haas and Pleiber all running very, very close together. Not really seen much battling still between them, I don't think, Sam. They're still just sort of running line astern in those positions for now.
Yeah. I hope that just on the last lap they just lose their minds and start dive bombing one another on the last lap. But it is very, very calm so far. Lackner versus Hochleitner. I'm not sure what's happened to Hochleitner in this race, as that's a lot of curb again. I'm wincing whenever a driver does that. But he's not pulled off that move, apologies. That was Lackner holding on to that position. But Hochleitner's really quick, and he started down in 36th position, and so that is why he is not in the top, certainly 15, maybe even top 10 he could have been. About saying for had it not been for that poor qualifying earlier on. Of course, so many drivers struggling to get in representative lap times. Only got a few attempts because of the length of the circuit, and then of course the easy slowdowns that you can pick up as well. And so we saw quite a mixed up grid, but getting back to sort of his rightful position over the course of this 40-minute race. But around this part of the circuit, he is very much having to stay behind. The driver ahead of them is not for position. That's his. Lucas Skavnica up ahead, and he will get some blue flags now to let these drivers past.
Yeah, nice job from Skavnica to keep the car running and stay out there on track. Looks like he's running pretty smoothly at the minute. Maybe a little bit less smoothly for Bortolotti. He lost a couple of seconds in that last lap, Sam, and he's actually more under pressure now from the 4th position Zyla behind than he was. So yeah, I think that's Bortolotti's opportunity to try and make any more progress over with. You can see that yeah, he's 13 seconds behind the lead, 9 seconds behind second, and has got just a second and a half to the Zyla car behind. So yeah, we'll keep half an eye on whether Zyla has an opportunity to challenge for that final podium spot, and let's also keep an eye now on whether Hochleitner can get a good run out onto this Mulsanne straight and try and grab another spot or two to move up from that 16th position. Right now these guys running line astern, and it's all going to start bunching up now as we head into the first chicane.
Yeah, Lachner with the toe from the back marker. Still hasn't got out of the way. I wonder if Hochleitner is going to be able to just do him on the brakes here if his rival gets a bit boxed in. No, that's only the right thing to do there. They are teammates. They are the RACETECH guys, but just about getting out of the way. Good work there from Skavnica to not cause too much of a problem, but it did slow down Lachner ever so slightly, and Hochleitner, similar to the last lap, moving alongside. He's just set the fastest second sector now of anyone, so that second sector is definitely the first Mulsanne straight. We've identified that one, and he got a lovely draft down that very long straight, did not have to let out other throttle whatsoever, and it's not going to be a bad second straight either. Again, very good momentum, but he is not able to get past, and despite these two kind of pulling away from the rest of the field, I think they made their way through up these few gyros. They're catching back up again. Lightgeb and Riegler are staying in touch right now because of the Batsane duo ahead of them. I think Hochleitner is getting a little bit annoyed here. He's doing his customary flashing off the lights. Once again thinking, why are you battling me, mate? Just stay in my slipstream and we can pull away from these guys. But he's having none of it right now, it's Lachner. Yeah,
all of a sudden, as you say, Sam, it's turned into a 4-car battle and brought Lightgeb right back into it. So yeah, we'll see if that's going to end in tears with, like I say, Hochleitner perhaps getting a little bit frustrated, stuck behind Lachner, but Lachner's done a great job so far, keeping that position. What is Hochleitner going to do as they work their way up through this section of the circuit? And like Hochleitner going to try and hang it round the outside. Here comes Lightgeb as well, tucking in to the gearbox, just drops back. Hochleitner tries to carry momentum around the outside. Can Lachner get him back on the next one? No, that looks like that should be Hochleitner through, and we'll see if he can break that gap on Lachner, or indeed if Lachner is going to quickly come under pressure from Lightgeb behind. So yeah, good 4-car battle still running there between 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th. Back at the front, Sam, yeah, Bushi had a bit of an issue, has he? He's gone from 5 seconds back to 10 seconds back on Ulrich, and Bortolotti is just a few seconds behind now. So yeah, 6-second difference in lap time we can see there on the last lap between Ulrich and Bushi. Car looks intact on my screen, Sam, so whatever his issue was, he seemed to keep it out of the wall at least.
Yeah, not coming up on my event viewer, unfortunately, so he certainly didn't come to a complete halt. Assuming he didn't go off the circuit, so probably a slide right there for him, and that is why he has lost that time. But yeah, I think
he's still losing time, Sam. He's still a little bit slow. So even so, whilst we were watching him, Bortolotti's gained like a second and a half. Like it was like 4.5 seconds. It's down to like less than 3 seconds now. So we'll see if Bushi's got a bigger problem, and if he's going to keep dropping back. Yeah, 2 seconds now. So Bortolotti's going to be all over him momentarily. Just seconds after I said Bortolotti had to settle for third.
He's not really lifting and coasting, is he? But he's just losing time down the entire straight. It didn't seem to be full throttle there, so
maybe he realised that he's short-fueled, which would be surprising because he lost time to Ulrich in the pit stops. It's not like he jumped out a few seconds early or anything like that. But yeah, Bortolotti now closing to within a second, and he's going to be swooping by any time soon. So yeah, after spending the first 2/3 of the race challenging for the lead, looks like Bushi's going to be desperately trying to hold on to the final podium spot, because Zyla is only going to be a couple of seconds further back after Bortolotti as well.
If he is fuel saving, and I know I don't want to come across pretentious, but I don't think he's doing it the right way. Because yeah, if you're losing time down like the middle part of the straight, you may as well just lift off the throttle like 200 meters early. He seems to be not going full throttle down the majority of the straight, and that's what's losing him time. So But I doubt Bushi would be making that mistake, honestly, because he's a far better driver than I shall ever be. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but Bortolotti's going to be past him by the end of this lap, I think, albeit
And,
this is the last lap.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was going to lead to, Sam. Yeah, this should be the last lap. So yeah, Ulrich looking very comfortable up there with a 15-second gap, and then here comes Bortolotti just a few tenths behind now. How much of a defence is Bushi going to put up? Is he going to have enough fuel to get him through the last chicane if that is indeed his issue? Bortolotti all over the back of him as he goes drives straight up the inside, Sam. First opportunity he had. Clean pass, big wiggle from Bushi as he tries to get on the power. He's trying to hang on in there, so he's not just giving it up. Back down the inside goes Bushi. Bortolotti going to try and hang it around the outside. He's going to get bumped into the tyre wall on the outside. No, that's always a tricky place to be side by side. You end up getting pushed into that tyre wall on the left there. Bortolotti comes out in front. Is Bushi going to send it back to him as they work the way through to the next corner? Bortolotti takes to the right, and Bushi is going to have to go around the outside, Sam, if he wants to make this work.
Oh, it's going to be a big one. Look at him go. Brilliant pace code by the Mercedes. And he's through. Back up into second place. And as long as he doesn't splutter across, that should be pretty much it for him.
And
out in the lead.
Perfect. There we go. Perfect timing, Sam. Where is Ulrich? So Ulrich coming through the final chicane. We'll flip back to Bushi and Bortolotti as soon as we can. But yeah, congratulations to Ulrich. Comes over the line. What's happening with Bushi, Bortolotti? Bortolotti contact, I think, for the back of him as we switched across there. And Bushi ending up having to back off. Bortolotti sails through, and Bushi coming hard back in. Chicane, no, completely cuts the second chicane. I wonder if there was a little bit of contact between the two of them that we didn't quite see as we cut away there, Sam. And yeah, Bushi desperately trying to get over the line before he did then indeed run out of fuel, it seems. So drama at the end. We'll catch a little bit of a replay of that in a few moments and try and see what in fact did happen on those last few corners. But yeah, then Zyler came over the line, Bushi came over in fourth in the end, then Moser and Haas. And yeah, still plenty of the field working their way through the Porsche curves. And Lightgeb did get Lagner in the end then. On Hochleitner's dropped back a couple of positions, Sam. So Hochleitner was ahead of all three of these guys, right?
Yeah,
so yeah, so issues there for Hochleitner. So we'll perhaps try and take a look back at that in a few minutes as well, as Lagner hangs the rear out as he works his way through the first chicane there and the second one. And yeah, Lightgeb comes out on top in that little battle for 15th position that time by. Yeah, Hochleitner, like you said, Sam, limping down into 18th after running a little bit further up than that earlier on. Is Gersitz then in 22nd. Looks like he did have a much cleaner end to the race then. Yeah, seemed like he kept making a little bit more progress as he went through, and going to finish just behind Kozic there in 21st and 22nd.
Oh, they'll slow down right at the end. That'd be like a 40-second penalty, I think. If he...
So just about, yeah, paid attention enough, jumped on the brakes. Hopefully should be safe and secured. The front of that BMW does not look happy at all there, Sam, for Vogetan. So yeah, hopefully he is going to be able to continue limping back round and safe in that 23rd position.
This is what happened to Hochleitner earlier on. So he got past. Oh, this. I mean, they pretty much did the exact same thing the lap before, but the other way around. Look at the drift there from, that was Lachner, but he was a little bit slow on exit. But how did Lachner get through that? I want to see a replay from his roll bar, if possible, because this was as good as this could have happened for Lachner here.
Yeah, so there goes Hochleitner on the inside. Drift it all the way around, and magically there's the track again right at the spot you want it to be at. Going to lose one spot, I guess, to the car on the right, but yeah, great job from Lachner to hold on to it there, and yeah, like a very goes by. But yeah, perfect position of not just a track but a tyre wall for Lachner there.
Yeah, and let's see what happened to Bortolotti.
Yeah, so I feel like Bortolotti made contact with the rear of Bushi's car here, so I wonder if Bushi had a big old cough and Bortolotti went in the back of him. Yeah, there you go, suddenly slowed down for Bushi. That was right when we cut to that camera, so we kind of just saw the tail of that. And then, yeah, Bushi just tries to straight line the chicane as much as possible, not brake, since he didn't have any fuel. So initially I kind of thought he was trying to go at Bortolotti in that last chicane, but no, of course he was just trying not to have to slow down because he knew he wouldn't get across the start-finish line. So just about managed it for Bushi there to get in that fourth. So yeah, not quite the result he was after, but at least he managed to cross the line.
Moser absolutely nailing the fuel, seemingly coughing across the line. So they were pushing it tight. I think a lot of the drivers, their calculations took into consideration the slipstream, and maybe in the second half of the race, as drivers spread out, there wasn't as much of a slipstream, and that caused them to short fuel slightly. So at least that's one of the possibilities that happened out there. But yeah, that was unfortunate. But I mean, Ulrich, you got to kind of question what was Ulrich doing at the start of the race, because his pace in the second half was so good, but obviously he didn't need to do anything spectacular because he knew that he had the pace ultimately, saving the fuel in the early stages, and really no one could touch him. Maybe if Bortolozzi didn't have those early issues, maybe he could have stayed close. But honestly, I think Paulston was just in a league of his own tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it was looking very, very tight in the first half of the race, and then Ulrich just pulled the pin, it seemed, in the second half, and away he went. We didn't see a single mistake made from him, right? You know, we saw lots of little errors here and there from different drivers, struggling with the rear, struggling with the curbs, but Ulrich seemed to just have everything under control the whole way through. So congratulations to Forsten. Just before we have a quick run through the race results, any drivers who would like to come for an interview, the Discord link has just been posted in the YouTube chat. Once you join Discord, make sure your name is something recognizable to your iRacing name, so we know who you are, and you can jump into the interview waiting area 1 channel. We've got plenty of time available to us for interviews if people are looking for them. So yeah, so we bring up the. Well, I can't bring up race results, Sam, because we still got a car or two trickling around on track. I know we can.
I think they're just on their parade lap at the moment. So.
Okay, cool.
Although, yeah, those results would not be particularly useful, are they, at this point?
I mean, it's good reference, but but there we go. So yeah, Forsten Ulrich, as we said, congratulations to him taking that race win. So it kind of looks fairly easy by the numbers with a 17-second gap, but it looked much tighter, certainly for the first 2/3. So yeah, representing RC Sim Racing iRacing. The first of the pro category drivers then for Mirko Bortolotti, recovered from, what do we think, Sam, 7th or 8th, I think he dropped down to in the end, to come back to 2nd. So yeah, great job from him for Gazek's racing team. Then Marco Zeiler, the first of the Austrian sim racers team, in 3rd. So picking up that surprise podium thanks to Bushi having those fuel issues at the end for Mira. Then Benjamin Moser in 5th, Pascal Haas in 6th, Thomas Pieber in 7th, and Marcus Reimer in 8th, all for Austrian sim racers. Florian Becker then in 9th with Martin Lamprecht in 10th. Louis Klinkhammer in 11th with Marco Olsen in 12th. Ralph Blutner in 13th. And then kind of a bit of a shock really, Sam, the first of our AVL RACETECH sim racing team drivers is down in 14th. We saw them running, a couple of them running much higher than that earlier on in the race and free qualifying. So yeah, 14th position is the first there for Christoph Schalpensteiner. Then Thomas Leitgeb in 15th, Lucas Lagner in 16th, Bernard Riegler in 17th, all for AVL as well. Benedikt Hotleitner for Austrian sim racers getting in amongst the following AVL drivers, so Rito Koenig and Christoph Meinbauer in 20th. Then in 21st was Darren Kozic with Finn Gesritz in 22nd, our next pro driver racing for the Ambassador team. Michael Vogeltans in 13th with Christian Meyer in 23rd, Vogeltans 24th for Christian Meyer. Then Mark Salaj in 25th with Scaven Carr in 26th. Gregory Jones 27th with Walter Lux in 28th. Rest of the cars then were 4 laps or more down. So Lerchbacher we see getting into the wars earlier on, as did Ferdinand Hasberger and Tatiana Calderon, both ending up in the pits. Martin Statman was running strong earlier on, so unfortunately for him to end up in 32nd, as was Dominic Fleischmann, so his last pit stop didn't enable him to continue on, it seems. Martin Matzner then in 34th, Lucas Meyer, Marcus Deutsch in 36th, Ollie Brinkman in 37th, Harold Blaumeyer in 38th, Stefano Pellegrino in 39th, Maximus Siegel in 40th, with Tobias Kurz 41st, Merzani in 42nd, Siegel 43rd, and then Kapala in 44th, rounding out to be the last of the classified finishers. So yeah, that was a full grid, Sam, that we saw out there at Le Mans. Like I say, good racing all the way through. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that seemed massively clumsy or anything from the racing, but we saw lots of good hard racing with guys struggling out there a little bit for rear grip at times, but good action all the way through. Not seeing any drivers yet in the interview waiting area 1 voice channel, but I do see a couple of new visitors to the Discord itself, so you'll need to join that interview waiting area 1 for us to then be able to drag you into the comms channel to do an interview. So we'll keep yapping for a few more minutes to see if anyone else is going to join us. But yeah, good races all around. Sam, like I say, a bit surprised really about a couple of struggles for fuel. I mean, kind of surprised that a couple of the guys ran it quite so close, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that they had to go so short on the field, but it just demonstrates how high fuel consumption a circuit Le Mans is. And maybe a lot of the drivers just a little bit short in that first stint of getting to the next lap. Maybe there was sort of 6.7 laps of fuel, which normally you could have some variance, but in the end we saw everyone come in on the same lap pretty much, bar 1 or 2 who tried to go in a little bit earlier. Yeah, that second half of the race, yeah, it was a little bit chaotic, but it wasn't chaotic for the man who I think we're about to have a chat with, Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. So Thorsten Ulrich has joined us in the commentary booth, first of the interviews for tonight. Congratulations, Thorsten. It looked like a real collaboration between yourself and Bushi in the first half of the race, working in a draft together to break the gap behind, and then pulled the pin, it seems, after the pit stop.
Yeah, it worked pretty well, actually. I was a bit worried about Mirko and Bokchi about the pace, but worked pretty well in the slipstream. And afterwards I could gain, I think Attila got a slowdown, like 2 or 3 laps into the second stint, so I had some momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was critical, wasn't it, that you came out the pits just sort of that 2 seconds or so ahead, so that you didn't have that draft pulling Bushi around the whole time. But yeah, from then, we didn't really see you put a foot wrong. I mean, how did you find the car out there, the setup, the conditions? Like, we saw quite a few drivers struggling with the rear of the car, sort of entry to mid. Like, was that something you were struggling with as well?
Yeah, I'm driving the Merc a lot recently, so I'm pretty used to the snap oversteer of the car in the mid corner. Yeah, I know from my teammates that was really tough with setup, with the fixed setup which was chosen here. But I could figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, say it certainly looked like you had it well and truly figured out, like I say, almost from the beginning, really. So you say you're used to driving in the Mercedes. So is the GT3 and the Mercedes your car of choice? What sort of series do you normally run on iRacing?
Actually, I'm not really in officials. I don't really drive too much GT3 at the moment, to be honest. GT4 is actually my series at the moment, and IndyCar if it's on road.
Well, those are 2 well sought after cars here at Apex. Yeah, GT4s are seen to be the best racing in the tin tops you can get, and IndyCar takes me and Sam back many years to some great road racing as well. So yeah, that's great to hear that those are 2 of your preferred choices. Well, like I say, great job again out there today, Thorsten, representing RC Sim Racing iRacing. Any teammates or sponsors that you'd like to mention before you sign off, sir?
Actually, we're not a real team. We are ex-RC drivers, so like radio control drivers.
Hence, that's the RC, sure.
Yeah, and we met up in the first COVID lockdowns when we couldn't race on RC tracks, actually. Yeah, we started racing here.
Awesome. Well, one of those surprise benefits of the strange world that we've lived through for the last few years, that you guys have managed to come together on iRacing. So yeah, great to hear those sort of stories of more people coming into the community.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Forsten. We'll hopefully see you out there running again in a future event soon. And yeah, congratulations again for what looked like a dominant victory out there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for streaming and commentating.
No problem at all, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, great. So yeah, glad that we heard from Forsten out there, say our race winner, Sam. Especially glad that he came to come and have a chat, since it seems like he's the only one so far. So this is the last call for any other drivers that wanted to come and have a quick chat about the race or about anything else kind of relevant to iRacing or sim racing. You're welcome to jump into the interview waiting area 1 channel in Discord, and that Discord is linked in the YouTube chat at the minute. So yeah, we'll give it just a couple more minutes before we look to sign off. I mean, as we said in the interview there, Sam, say Forsten just looked like he had it, pretty much under control from the moment the pit stops were done.
Yeah, he was super quick out there, was Thorsten. He's only 5k iRacing, which I'm a little bit surprised at. I mean, of course, he was seemingly faster than Bortolotti, who's 7.2k, but the way that he was driving out there, Thorsten, you would think that he was even higher rated than that already very strong rating that he's got. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of him on Apex Racing TV, and yeah, cool that the RC cars kind of translate into sim racing as well. I mean, it's also a weird one, Lee. It's difficult to kind of pinpoint exactly what it is which makes like a good racing driver, but I think there's a few other examples. I mean, Lewis Hamilton is the one that comes to mind, where RC racing and sim racing they do kind of overlap. But yeah, what exactly it is about those two elements which are the key to being quick, I'm not 100% sure.
Well, yeah, definitely a crossover between RC and sim racing for sure. The Apex Racing UK founder Alex Simpson would soon jump in here to talk about RC cars, as that was what him and his father would spend many a weekend doing when he was a child. So no, for sure, there's a great translation there. Okay, so let's have a quick final word from AVL RACETECH. So again, thanks a lot to them for putting on this event. So as we saw, plenty of AVL RACETECH employees out there running in the sim racing team, along with then the AVL RACETECH ambassadors and additional special guests. AVL RACETECH is a global expert motorsport division of AVL, working in all technical fields of sport for more than 20 years. AVL RACETECH is currently involved with customers in 17 different race series around the world in the fields of engineering, testing, simulation and manufacturing. As a key supplier to teams in the world's most respected racing series, from Formula 1 to NASCAR to MotoGP, they offer state-of-the-art technologies and services to the motorsport world. They believe in and utilise motorsports as a platform for innovation, and they transfer this into road car development for future generations of mobility. You can follow them on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube by searching for AVL RACETECH. So it seems there's no other interviews, Sam, so I think that will be us wrapping up here on Apex Racing TV. So great to have this special event here from AVL. If you're maybe a new viewer to Apex Racing TV, we run broadcasts on iRacing pretty much every night of the week. So tonight at 1 o'clock GMT, which is 9 Eastern time for US viewers, we've got the Ray Esports Racing League round 3 at Road Atlanta, running in either the MX5 or Formula 4 or SRF, depending on which rotation they're on right now. Then tomorrow at 19:45 GMT, we have the Nordjyst Cup Porsche Cup Series, round 4 from the new Rudskogen circuit. Sam's favourite then on Friday night, 9 o'clock GMT, Radical Racing Challenge. They're going to be at Road America, so that sounds like a great one to see them on. Then from Sam again, on Saturday night at 8 o'clock GMT, we have our studio broadcast of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Super Series. That's presented and shown from our TV studio. If you haven't seen that before, tune in to that to see our little setup that we've got over here. Then the Formula 3.5 Championship at 9:45 with ARL GT Americas late at night on the Saturday night / Sunday morning, which is 1 GMT. They're running from Suzuka. So that's the next few days ahead here at Apex Racing TV. If you enjoyed the coverage, please do subscribe. And yeah, thanks very much to joining us. Thanks for Sam for running commentary and the cameras, and again to AVL RACETECH for putting on this event. And I think it was a great race out there for us to cover for 40 minutes, Sam. So yeah, glad to be out here doing it. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll hopefully see you for a future broadcast.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.